All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Ready to go.
Awesome. Today we're exploring something pretty fundamental, I guess you could say, to learning any language, vocabulary.
Yes.
We're going to tackle 30 words today, all from the Oxford 5000 list.
That's right. And they're especially useful if you're at that intermediate level with English.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So think of it as a vocab booster.
I like it.
Okay.
All right. So first up, forum.
Forum.
Now, this isn't just any old meeting place.
Right.
I always think about, ancient Rome and, those big forums they had.
Yeah.
Bustling with debate and discussion. The word itself really kind of conjures up that image for me.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that idea has definitely carried through, to this day. Like online forums, for example, they allow people to, all over the world to discuss, interests they share. Yeah. Or think about like even local communities, like, the town council is hosting a public forum to debate the new park proposal.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's online or in person, it's where ideas clash and conversations flow.
Absolutely. You might even say the university's literature forum is a great place to analyze classic novels.
Okay, so from clashing ideas, let's go back in time a little bit to our next word, fossil.
Fossil. And this one, actually, the word itself gives us a little clue.
Ooh.
Yeah. Fossilis in Latin actually means obtained by digging.
Huh. Interesting.
So when we talk about fossils, we're really talking about, those remnants of ancient life that are unearthed from the earth.
Fascinating. It's like the word itself is a time capsule.
It really is. Yeah, you could say the discovery of a new dinosaur fossil excited paleontologists.
Mm-hmm.
Or the museum's fossil collection provides a glimpse into prehistoric times.
Wow, it really makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden beneath our feet, just waiting to be dug up.
It does, and sometimes those discoveries can challenge our understanding of the fossil record.
Okay, so from fossils and digging things up, let's shift gears.
Okay.
A little bit with our next word, which is foster.
Foster.
And this one's all about nurturing growth.
Yeah.
Whether it's a skill, an idea, or even a feeling.
Absolutely. Think of it like, a gardener tending to their plants, creating that ideal condition for them to thrive. So, for example, you could say a supportive environment can foster creativity in children.
Oh, that's a really good one. That kind of reminds me, my parents, they always had books around.
Yeah.
And it really fostered my love of reading.
Oh, what a great example. Yeah. Another one is mentorship programs aim to foster leadership skills in young professionals.
And on a broader level, I think you could say, diplomacy plays a crucial role in fostering peace between nations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about creating those connections that really allow positive things to develop and flourish.
Okay, so we've talked about fostering, nurturing those things.
Yeah.
But our next word, foundation. That's all about that solid base upon which things are built.
That's right. And this word, it has actually several layers of meaning. So it can be literal, like the construction crew laid the foundation for the skyscraper.
Yeah.
But it can also be more figurative, right? Like the underlying principles of an organization or even a belief system.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could say trust is the foundation of any successful relationship.
Absolutely. Or the organization's mission statement serves as the foundation for all its activities.
So it's all about that essential groundwork, that bedrock upon which everything stands.
Exactly. And sometimes, it's important to reevaluate our foundations to ensure they are still strong.
Okay, so from the foundation, let's talk about the person who lays the foundation.
Right.
Yeah. The founder.
Founder, yeah. And this word, I think, often brings to mind those, really iconic figures who established, companies, institutions, or even entire movements. So, for example, Marie Curie was a founder of the field of radioactivity.
It's amazing to think about the impact that a single founder can have.
It really is, yeah. You might say the founder of the company had a vision for a more sustainable future.
Yeah.
Or even, legend has it that a brave explorer was the founder of this ancient city.
It's amazing. So from groundbreaking scientists to visionaries and entrepreneurs, founders really leave their mark on history.
They do. And sometimes, understanding the founder's intentions, it can help us interpret the evolution of their creation.
All right. So from founders, let's zoom in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
With our next word.
All right.
Fraction.
Fraction.
We're talking about a tiny piece,
Yeah.
a small part
Yes.
of something larger.
Exactly. It really emphasizes that sense of proportion. So, for example, only a fraction of the students passed the difficult exam.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
Hopefully they study a little harder for the next one.
Hopefully. Yeah. You might also say the company donated a fraction of its profits to charity, or a fraction of a second can make all the difference in a race.
So whether it's time, money, even exam results,
Right.
fraction really highlights that small piece
Yeah.
of a larger whole.
Precisely. And sometimes it's amazing how even a small fraction can have a really significant impact.
Okay, so from fractions, let's talk about something
All right.
delicate
Okay.
and easily broken.
Fragile.
Fragile. This word always, it evokes that sense of caution.
Yeah.
It reminds us to handle things with care. So for example, the antique vase is extremely fragile and must be handled with gloves.
Oh, yeah. When I hear fragile, I always think of those warning labels on packages,
Yeah.
Handle with care. Absolutely. You could also say the ecosystem is fragile and needs protection from pollution.
Right.
Or the truce between the two countries remained fragile.
It's interesting how fragile could describe,
Yeah.
physical objects, but then also abstract concepts like peace or ecosystems.
Right.
Really highlights that vulnerability.
It does. And it reminds us to be mindful of the fragility of things we value.
Okay, so from fragile, let's talk about broken things.
Okay.
With our next word.
All right. Fragment. Yeah. And this one, just like fragile, it can be used both literally and figuratively.
Okay.
So, for instance, archaeologists unearthed fragments of pottery at the ancient site.
I love imagining like those archaeologists carefully piecing together those fragments, like a puzzle from the past.
It is. It's a fascinating process. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might also say the explosion sent fragments of glass flying in all directions.
Wow.
Or she only had fragmented memories of the accident.
So from, shattered pottery to fractured memories, fragments really are those scattered remnants of something that was once whole.
Precisely. And sometimes examining those fragments can reveal a hidden story.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so from fragments, let's build something a little more sturdy
All right.
with our next word, framework.
Framework. This is all about structure.
Mm-hmm.
That underlying support system for ideas, organizations, even physical construction. So think of it like the skeleton of a building, that provides that shape and stability. For example, the government developed a framework for regulating the new industry.
Yeah, it's about creating order and coherence.
Exactly. You might say the ethical framework of a company guides its decision-making. Or the student used a 5-paragraph essay framework to structure their argument.
So whether it's, ethical guidelines or essay structure or even government regulations, frameworks really do provide those essential organizing principles.
They do. And understanding the framework can help us better understand the system it supports.
Okay, so from frameworks, let's venture into the world of business.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
With our next word, franchise.
Franchise.
So this model, it's everywhere these days. from fast food
Yeah.
to fitness centers.
Absolutely. A franchise is essentially a business partnership where one party grants another the right to use its trademark and business model. So, for example, he decided to open a franchise of a popular coffee shop chain.
Yeah, it's like a ready-made business blueprint.
Exactly. The franchise agreement outlined the terms of the partnership.
Yeah.
Or the entrepreneur researched different franchise opportunities before making a decision.
So franchises can be a great way for someone to start a business.
Yeah.
With a proven model.
Yeah.
And that brand recognition.
Absolutely. But it is crucial to carefully evaluate the franchise agreement before making a commitment.
All right. So from franchises, let's talk about being upfront.
Sorry.
Honest with our next word.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Frankly.
So this is all about speaking your mind directly.
Yeah.
Even if it's not what people want to hear.
It adds a certain emphasis to a statement, it conveys that sense of sincerity and forthrightness. So, for example, frankly, I think you need to reconsider your approach.
Sometimes a little dose of honesty is just what's needed.
It really is, yeah. You might say, she spoke frankly about the challenges of being a working mother. Or, frankly, I don't see how this plan will succeed.
Frankly, can definitely add some weight to an opinion or observation.
It can, but it is, it's important to use it tactfully to avoid being unnecessarily blunt.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so from frankly, let's move on to a word that unfortunately we hear all too often these days.
Right.
Fraud. Fraud.
And this is serious. It involves deception, dishonesty for personal gain, So, for example, the company was investigated for tax fraud. It's shocking how some people are willing to exploit others for their own benefit. It is, yeah. You might say identity theft is a growing form of fraud. Or he was convicted of fraud for running a Ponzi scheme. So it's important to be aware of the different forms of fraud and really take steps to protect ourselves. It is. And reporting any suspected fraudulent activity is essential to preventing further harm. Okay, so from fraud, let's breathe a sigh of relief. All right, okay, yeah. With our next word. Okay. Freely. Freely. This one's about liberation, being unrestricted, able to act. Without constraint, So, for example, birds soared freely through the sky. Ah, yes, that sense of boundless freedom. Yeah. You might say, in a democracy, citizens can express their opinions freely. Or the artist painted freely, letting her imagination run wild. So from soaring birds to unfettered creativity, freely really does capture that essence of uninhibited expression. It does, and it's important to, cherish those spaces where we can act and think freely. Okay, so from freely, let's talk about something that happens, often. Okay. With our next word. All right. Frequent. Frequent. And we use this to describe, actions or occurrences that repeat, Yeah, regularly. Regularly, yeah. Yeah, it suggests, that sense of regularity and recurrence. For instance, he was a frequent visitor to the library, always eager to borrow new books. A kindred spirit. I know, right? Yeah. You might also say the bus makes frequent stops along this route. Yeah. Or she experiences frequent headaches due to stress. So from bus schedules to health issues, right. Frequent describes those things that happen on a regular basis. It does. And analyzing those frequent occurrences can help us identify patterns and make adjustments. Okay, so from frequent, let's dive into a trio of words that really explore a pretty common human emotion, frustration. Frustration. So first up, we have the adjective frustrated. Okay. And this describes that feeling of being annoyed, disheartened, when things don't go your way. Absolutely. It's that, that feeling of being stuck or unable to make progress. So, for example, she was frustrated by the lack of communication from her team. Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
We have, yeah. You might say he became frustrated when his computer crashed, losing hours of work.
Ugh, I hate when that happens.
I know. Or the athlete felt frustrated after losing the championship game.
So it's that sense of being thwarted, held back.
Yeah.
That can be so frustrating.
Exactly. And that leads us to our next word, frustrating.
Okay.
Which, describes the thing that causes that feeling of annoyance.
Yeah. Like, trying to assemble furniture with unclear instructions can be incredibly frustrating.
Oh, I can relate to that. Yeah, traffic jams are particularly frustrating during rush hour.
Yeah.
Or dealing with bureaucracy can be a very frustrating experience.
It's those obstacles and setbacks that make a situation so frustrating.
They do. And when that feeling builds up, and really intensifies, we experience frustration, the noun form of this emotion.
Right. Like, his frustration grew with each failed attempt to solve the problem.
Yeah, she expressed her frustration with the company's new policies, or the team's frustration was palpable after their loss.
So frustration is a powerful emotion, and it can manifest in many different ways.
It can. And learning to manage frustration effectively is an essential life skill.
Okay, so from frustration, let's switch gears to something more positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fulfill.
And this one's all about achievement, about bringing something to completion.
Yeah.
Or realizing a goal.
Right.
It's that sense of satisfaction that comes from, accomplishing something meaningful. So, for example, she fulfilled her dream of opening her own bakery.
Ooh, that's a delicious dream to fulfill. It is. You might say he fulfilled his promise to help his friend move, or the company struggled to fulfill its orders due to supply chain issues.
So whether it's a personal ambition or a business obligation,
Right.
fulfill really does imply that sense of accomplishment.
It does. And sometimes fulfilling our responsibilities brings a deeper sense of purpose.
All right, so from fulfill, let's talk about a common work arrangement.
Okay. Yeah.
Full-time.
Full-time.
So this refers to a job or even an activity
Right.
that occupies, a significant amount of time.
Yes, it does. Typically 40 hours per week.
Yeah.
It's a standard measure of employment, in many industries. So, for example, after graduating, she landed a full-time job at a tech company.
And it's often seen as a milestone.
Yes.
Going from, part-time or even student life to that full-time commitment.
Right. Yeah. You might say he juggled his full-time job with his passion for photography. Or the position is available on a full-time or part-time basis.
Yeah. And full-time can even describe other commitments.
Yeah.
Beyond just work.
It can.
Like being a parent is a full-time job in itself.
It really is.
Yeah.
And finding a balance between our full-time commitments and personal life is essential.
All right. So from full-time, let's talk about practicality.
Okay. Sounds good.
Our next word is functional.
Functional.
And this describes something that really serves its purpose.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Even
if it's not particularly stylish or aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. It's all about utility and effectiveness. So, for example, the furniture was functional but lacked any decorative flair.
Yeah, sometimes function trumps fashion.
It does, yeah. You might say the website is functional but could benefit from a more user-friendly design. Or the old car is still functional despite its rusty exterior.
Yeah, so functional really just highlights that something works as intended, even if it's not winning any beauty contests.
Exactly. And sometimes a functional approach is all that's needed to get the job done.
Okay, so from functional, let's get to the core of things.
All right.
Okay, with our next word.
Okay.
Fundamentally.
Yeah, and this one emphasizes, those essential aspects, those core principles that really shape something's nature or character.
Yeah.
So, for example, the two political parties hold fundamentally different views on social welfare.
Yeah, those core differences can make it pretty difficult to find common ground.
They can, yeah. You might say the invention of the internet fundamentally changed the way we communicate. Or, despite their differences, the two friends shared a fundamentally similar outlook on life.
So whether it's political ideologies, technological advancements,
Right.
or even personal philosophies, fundamentally really points to, those essential elements that shape something's identity.
It does. And sometimes it's important to step back and examine our own fundamental beliefs.
All right, so from fundamentally, let's talk about a crucial activity
Okay.
for many organizations.
All right.
Fundraising.
Well, fundraising.
So this is all about securing financial support
Right.
for a cause, a project,
Yeah,
an initiative.
An initiative. Absolutely. It involved a range of activities, all aimed at soliciting donations and raising funds. So, for example, the nonprofit organization held a fundraising gala to support its educational program.
Yeah, galas, auctions, even crowdfunding campaigns. There are so many creative ways to approach fundraising these days.
There are, yeah. You might say the school relied on fundraising to purchase new equipment for the playground. Or the political candidate launched a successful fundraising campaign to reach a wider audience.
So fundraising really plays a vital role
Yeah,
in helping organizations, achieve their goals
absolutely.
and make a difference in the world.
It does. And supporting those fundraising efforts can be a rewarding way to contribute to causes we believe in.
Okay, so from fundraising, let's move on to a word that's a little more solemn.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funeral.
Funeral.
And this refers to the ceremony or service held to commemorate someone
Right.
who has passed away.
It is. It's a time for mourning, remembrance, and paying tribute to the life of the deceased.
Yeah.
So, for example, the funeral was a beautiful celebration of her life and legacy.
Yeah, funerals can be difficult.
Yeah.
But they are an important part of the grieving process.
Absolutely.
Allowing loved ones to say goodbye
Right.
and find closure.
Absolutely. Yeah, you might say hundreds of people attended the funeral to pay their respects, or the funeral procession slowly made its way to the cemetery.
So it's a solemn occasion.
Yeah.
That really does mark the end of a life's journey.
It does. And different cultures have unique traditions and rituals surrounding funerals.
All right, so from funerals, let's get fired up.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our next word. Furious.
Furious describes a state of intense anger, a feeling of being enraged or incensed.
Right.
It's a powerful emotion that often can be triggered by injustice or betrayal. So, for example, he was furious when he discovered his car had been vandalized.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that would be infuriating.
Absolutely. Yeah. You might say the customer was furious about the poor service and demanded to speak to the manager, or the coach was furious with the team's lackluster performance.
So furious really conveys
Yeah.
that extreme level of anger.
Yeah.
That feeling of being truly enraged.
It does. And learning to manage anger constructively is essential to prevent it from escalating into destructive behavior.
That's good advice. So from furious, let's switch gears.
Okay.
Something more practical.
Oh, right. Okay. Sounds good.
Gallon. So this is a unit of measurement for liquids.
Yeah, primarily used in the United States. It's a standard unit for measuring things like milk, gasoline, paint.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the recipe called for a gallon of milk.
Yeah, I always have to double check those conversions,
Yeah.
when I'm baking with American recipes.
It can be confusing.
Yeah.
You might also say, I filled up my car with 10 gallons of gas. Or the painter used a gallon of paint to cover the walls.
So from baking a cake to fueling up your car.
Right.
Gallons are a common unit of measurement for liquids.
They are. And understanding different units of measurement can be helpful when traveling or interpreting information from various sources.
Okay, so from gallons, let's
Sure.
talk about a popular form of entertainment,
Right.
gaming.
Gaming.
So this is a really broad term,
It is.
and it encompasses various forms of electronic games.
Right, from console and PC games, to mobile games and esports.
Yep.
It's a global phenomenon that has captivated people of all ages. For instance, the popularity of online gaming has skyrocketed in recent years.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
I mean, gaming really seems to have become mainstream
It has.
entertainment.
It has, yeah. You might say the new gaming console offers stunning graphics and immersive gameplay, or esports tournaments attract millions of viewers worldwide.
So gaming has really evolved
Yeah.
into a diverse and dynamic industry
Yeah,
with something for everybody.
it has. And the impact of gaming on culture and technology is significant and continues to grow.
All right, so from gaming, let's talk about people coming together.
Okay.
Okay. With our next word,
All right, gathering.
gathering. This refers to an assembly of people,
Yeah.
for a specific purpose,
Right.
whether it's a social event, a meeting, a protest.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about people coming together, often to share a common interest or experience.
So, for instance, the family held a gathering to celebrate their grandparents' anniversary.
Gatherings are a great way to connect with others and
Yeah.
create,
Yeah.
those lasting memories.
They are, yeah. You might say the annual gathering of scientists attracted experts from around the world. Or the protest was a peaceful gathering of citizens demanding social justice.
So from a celebration to a conference or even a demonstration, gatherings really do bring people together
They do.
for that shared purpose.
Yeah. And the power of collective action is often demonstrated through gatherings and assemblies.
Okay, so from gatherings, let's move on to a word
Right.
that's seen some significant shifts
Right.
in meaning over time. Gay.
Gay.
Yeah.
And, it's crucial with this term to use it respectfully and acknowledge its evolving usage.
Right.
So today it primarily refers to individuals who identify as homosexual, particularly men. So, for example, he came out as gay to his family and friends.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that language is constantly changing. And we need to stay informed about the appropriate usage of, terms like this.
We do, yeah. You might say the city has a vibrant and welcoming gay community.
Yeah.
Or the film explores the challenges faced by gay teenagers in a conservative society.
So it's about respecting people's identities and using language that that reflects their lived experience.
It is. And understanding the nuances of language can help us communicate more sensitively and inclusively.
All right. And finally,
Okay.
let's end our deep dive today with a word that really captures a moment of focused attention.
Okay. Gaze.
Gaze. Yeah, it describes that act of looking intently at something, often with a sense of wonder, admiration, or even curiosity.
Right.
It suggests a prolonged and thoughtful look, often conveying an emotional response. So, for example, she gazed out the window at the breathtaking sunset.
Ah, yes. That sense of awe and appreciation. Yeah. You might say, he couldn't help but gaze at the masterpiece in the museum. Or, the astronomer gazed through the telescope, marveling at the vastness of the universe.
So from natural wonders to artistic creations,
Right.
gaze really captures that moment. Expert.